Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a while since I've recorded a video, so gonna jump right into it. Gonna talk about what should you buy for your first bike, or at least that's why you're clicking on this video, is because you want to know my opinion on it. Which I don't know why anybody would want my opinion, but hey, here you are. So, um, I guess to kick it off, um, I have spent tons of time in the past researching what motorcycle to buy, what's the best bike to buy for a beginner, and all that other stuff. And at the end of the day, what I chose to do was just slightly not really talked about. So I'm gonna go ahead and kind of put my 2 cents into it. I mean, there's tons of videos out there. You can watch this one. You can watch a million other videos and kind of gather your own information and gather your own opinion. I actually encourage that. But from my experience, there's a lot of videos out there that say, "Oh, don't start on a 1000, don't start on a 600, don't start on this, don't start on that," and I am going to agree with them. You should not start on a 1000, and if it is your very first bike, you've never ridden a bike before in your life, I would not recommend starting on a 600 or higher sport bike or naked bike at all. Um, I mean, the 650s and stuff for naked bikes are pretty cool. They're pretty good. They're actually not a bad place to start, but I still, um, where I'm actually going to recommend you go is Facebook Marketplace. Find the cheapest, safest bike that you can find. Find a bike that has recently had the oil change and the brakes done on it. Find something that's your style of bike, whether it's, well, I like sport bikes, I like naked bikes, I like Harleys, cruisers, whatever it might be. um, Whatever falls into that category. I personally didn't have a category. I'm not really a biased person. I like Harleys, I like sport bikes, I like naked bikes, I like them all. um, and I'll talk about my bikes and what I've owned in this video as well. But for the most part, something to seriously consider is, you know, you're gonna have to buy gear. You're gonna have to have insurance, like all this other. There's a lot of associated costs that go along with owning a motorcycle, and determining your bike budget might be slightly different than what you're anticipating. I mean, you're probably going to spend around $2,000, maybe $1,500 in gear, um, if you're not going to squid, which I don't recommend you do. So, I actually highly recommend that you ride with a jacket or a hoodie, a padded hoodie, pants, and shoes or boots. One or the other, motorcycle shoes or boots, that are designed to be ridden on a motorcycle and are safety rated. Um, but you obviously don't have to listen to that. You are a free person. You can do whatever you want. So, but with that being said, that drastically reduced my motorcycle budget. And what I actually wound up going with was the GS 450 from Suzuki. I think it was a 1980 something. This is not my bike. It looked very similar to this bike here. Um, it was a cafe style racer type. It was modified already before I got it. I paid about, I think, around $1,000, 1,000 or $1,200 or something like that for it. It had a small gas leak on the gas tank. There was a small rust hole in the gas tank, which I wound up plugging with some epoxy and stuff like that. I emptied the gas tank, cleaned it out with water and stuff, and then let it dry and put some stuff over top of it. So, um, yeah, basically, this is what I started on. It was fast enough. It ran well. The brakes were good. The brakes were good enough. It's got drum in the back. It's got disc in the front, which actually was kind of. It's a pretty quick bike, honestly. It's not slow by any means. So, but it was a really good bike to learn the fundamentals on. I had this bike for a year. I learned how to start, stop, corner, all that stuff, counter steer, everything like that, all the basics. I mostly learned everything I knew at that time from YouTube. I didn't take a class or anything like that. After I did get done riding this bike, I did wind up buying a Harley 48. Um, which I know some of you might be shocked by that, but because I'm not really, I'm not a super big Harley fan. Actually, I'm a big fan of Harley's build quality, and I'm a big fan of the ride like the comfort of it. They're pretty nice to ride, especially like the 48 was really nice to ride in the city. I lived in Metro Detroit when I owned both of those bikes, and I really enjoyed both of them really just as much as the other. So, but I decided to go with the cheaper route because it was my first it was my first real motorcycle. I had ridden mopeds and like stuff like that in college, and I rode my friends' motorcycles and stuff like that, and that's kind of what got me hooked on it and I made the decision to buy one was because I was riding other people's things and they allowed me to do it and they kind of showed me initially somewhat how to ride them. So I had a general idea. The rest of it I picked up from YouTube. And then before I bought my 48, I actually took the safety course at the Harley dealership that I bought this from. And and that actually taught me a lot more than even YouTube did really. That's kind of where I learned the importance of riding within your limits and riding with gear at all times because you can ride within your limits. Just helps reduce the severity of the accident. You're pretty much. It's not really a matter of if, it's a matter of really when you're going to get into some sort of situation of whether if you're riding outside your limits, you'll find out very quickly. When you get into that situation, you'll find out whether you're riding outside your limits or inside your limits. Because if you're outside your limits, you're probably going to go down. So, but if you're riding within your limits and everything like that, and you're wearing all your gear, you're probably not going to come away with that many injuries or road rash or anything like that. So that was the main thing I learned in that safety course, and I still stick to it to this day. I go on group rides all the time. Um, Luckily, I'm not the guy that's in the back of the pack at all times, but I stay more towards the middle. I let the young kids who are they want to push their limits and push their luck. They go out in the front, and I just kind of hang out and do my own thing and practice on my own stuff. So, um, but yeah, that's really the main thing I learned in there. Ego is the biggest thing that gets people injured and ends people's riding careers. So, um, that kind of goes with buying your first bike too. A lot of people buy their first bike and they get a 600cc or a 1000cc and they're like, oh yeah, no problem. But their skills tell a different story, and I would actually argue probably 5 out of 10, like 50% of people who own a 1000cc probably can't ride it to the full potential that the bike actually is. Maybe even seven. Like I my current bike now is an MT-09, and I'm pretty sure. Again, this isn't my bike. This is just a photo that I got off. I've got the fender eliminator and stuff done to it now, but um, I I can't ride it to its full potential. I'm nowhere near. You know, like I've got it. I've got all the power modes unlocked and stuff like that, and I can drive it in corners and stuff. But if you handed this bike to a professional rider who's been riding for 20 years, he'd dust me. And I have no problem admitting that. So that kind of ties into the experience of everything. When you buy your first bike, it depends on your experience too. So you don't necessarily have to get that cheap bike if you have experience riding bikes. If you have experience riding bikes and you're not nervous you're going to lay something down and you're not worried about riding outside your limits and you're mature enough to ride inside your limits and stay there, maybe you can go buy like something like that Harley or like a naked bike or even a 600cc sport bike or something. Like maybe that is for you, depending on your experience and your skills and your maturity, right? So, that's really what it all comes down to. I highly recommend you get your safety course. I highly recommend you budget enough money. Don't put all your budget money into just the bike. You're gonna have to buy gear too. I don't recommend you go out and buy a $1,500 helmet. There's plenty of good $500, $300, $400 helmets out there. AGVs, they look cool and everything, but at the end of the day, it's your first bike. You don't really know if you're going to want to do this long term. I wouldn't invest that amount of money into the gear. Just make sure that you're getting safe gear that's certified and like has been tested and everything like that. That's the biggest thing, right? So, yeah, I think as long as you save the money for the gear, I think you can do it really whatever you want, whatever your skills and your maturity level to signify. So, but again, I do recommend that you get a bike that you're interested in, because like even this video I showed you the GS 450. I still think it's a sick bike. 5 years later, I still think it's awesome. I think it was awesome that I learned on it. I love that I got to ride that bike, and it was an experience that I enjoyed. So, even if you are buying a used bike, get a used bike that you like. Get a used bike that you think looks cool, and go from there. So, yeah. If I missed anything, if you have any other questions, feel free to leave a comment below. Drop a like and a follow if you like the channel, and don't forget to subscribe if you like the content. So, I think this is my first video back in a while. I'm not really putting a whole lot of not really doing a whole lot of editing or any animations or anything like that, but I do plan on spicing up the videos quite a bit moving forward, putting some more time into them, dropping one video a week or something like that, maybe 1 or 2 videos a week or something. But yeah, I think if you like the idea of working on motorcycles, DIY stuff, motorcycle maintenance stuff, and just all around just motorcycle content, I think that's where this channel is going to kind of lean towards. I know I was doing a lot of automotive stuff before with cars and everything like that. I think my passion just isn't there anymore. It was when I was younger, but it's not anymore. I think I've just really grown into motorcycles, and I really enjoy everything about motorcycles, the motorcycle community, and all that jazz. So, again, if you like the content, stick around, get some notifications. If not, I'm happy you stayed, watched the video, and like I said, leave a comment if you have any other questions that I didn't hit on. I'll see you on the next one.